What's up, wrestling fans? My name is Aaron, and this is Wrestling by Waldridge. I hope everyone is enjoying their weekend, and as always, if you're new here, welcome to the channel. Please give me a follow on Twitter at WrestlingByW, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, give it a share, hit that notification bell to be notified when I release new videos, and subscribe. Do you find that you don't have enough time in the week to watch as many wrestling shows as you'd like? You only have enough time to watch one or two? You can't watch the best wrestling matches? Well, no matter, because I have you covered as I go over the top 5 wrestling matches from the week, where I give a detailed breakdown for each contest. So, first up we have Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher versus the grizzled young veterans from NXT. This was a good back and forth match which told a decent story of Ciampa and Thatcher using their intense physicality to counter the tag team cohesion of GYV, and there was a lot of great wrestling in this match. The striking was snug and the holds and submissions looked painful. GYV once again proved why they're considered as one of the top tag teams in the world. Ciampa and Thatcher controlled the early portion of this match, but GYV used their superior tag team chemistry to distract Thatcher in order to gain the advantage. They then did an excellent job of isolating Thatcher from making the tag, and the finish involved a nice story beat where Ciampa distracted the ref, which allowed Thatcher to hit Gibson over the head with Wade Barrett's shoe, which played into their interaction from last week. Usually I wouldn't be fond of this kind of action from babyfaces, but it kind of works with Ciampa and Thatcher's characters, and Thatcher tapped Gibson out to the Fujiwara armbar for the win. It was a solid match, but nothing too special. So next up we head over to Impact, where we saw a match between James Storm and Moose, where the winner would enter the #1 contenders match at Under Siege. And whilst this wasn't the most exciting match, this was a great hoss fight which featured lots of storytelling and psychology. The story featured Moose attacking the right leg of James Storm in a very aggressive fashion, and it doubles up as great psychology by Moose as it harms the base of James Storm, which nullifies him being able to hit his bigger impactful moves. Most evident when Storm is going for an Eye of the Storm on Moose, but is unable to support the weight of Moose. And this spot was also an excellent example of how great Storm's selling was in this match. He made Moose look incredibly strong, and I thought the finish rounded off the story very well too, as Storm managed to hit Moose with a right-footed super kick, but the pain this caused him meant he was unable to capitalise on Moose. Moose was then able to recover. He then nails Storm with a spear for the 1-2-3, and Moose picks up the victory. It was a slow-paced match, but very well worked by both men. And then next up we have the street fight for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships between Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart against Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae. I thought Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart did an excellent job of executing their game plan of divide and conquer. The cohesion between the two was impressive, and we saw a lot of great tag team offense. Indy also gave a very good performance, acting as the powerhouse of the match, and I thought Candice LeRae was a great ring general in this match as well. The women took full advantage of the stipulation. We saw chairs, ladders, tables, and a good old fire extinguisher spot. And what the match lacked in near falls, it did make up for in some incredible exciting high spots, with my personal favourite of the match being a diving senton from Shotzi onto Candice through a ladder. And I loved the story beat at the end of this match where Candice uses brass knuckles, which the Way had stolen from Regal's office earlier in the night, and this allowed Candice to hit Shotzi with a wicked stepsister onto the steel chair to give Indy and Candice the win, which means they are the new Women's Tag Team Champions in NXT. A very fun match here, and props to all 4 women who didn't hold anything back. And then, to complete the trifecta of matches from NXT, we had a Falls Count Anywhere match to open the show between Isaiah Swerve Scott and Leon Ruff. The match told a fun story of Leon Ruff representing the underdog defying the odds against the super aggressive Swerve after a difficult start to the match. And I've seen a couple of other content creators talk about how much Swerve's character work has improved recently, and I wholeheartedly agree with them all. He always has an intangible swagger about him, and as I said before, his aggression is very impressive. Most evident in this match by the way he just dumps Ruff from a fireman's carry position onto the corner of the ring apron. That looked really painful. And when he just launches a toolbox straight at Ruff's head as well. And it must be said that Ruff's facials there were excellent. And despite being a very athletic wrestler, I like how Swerve takes his time and works at a very methodical pace. The selling was decent, and again I thought both men made the most out of the stipulation. There were some very effective near falls on the outside of the ring, and the action even went to the back of house as well. And then we saw an unexpected finish where a new face in AJ Francis catches a leaping Leon Ruff. He then lays him out neck first onto the barrier, which allows Swerve to roll him in, hit the JML for the victory. It's a cheap win for Swerve, but I am very interested to see where his character goes from here now. I really enjoyed this match. And then finally, we move on to the big one. The match that has had everyone talking this week, blood and guts between the Pinnacle and Inner Circle from AEW Dynamite. Firstly, I loved how there were a good amount of smaller stories told within this match. Before Jericho entered, there was a nice overarching story of Inner Circle having to overcome the odds. We saw Spears and Sammy finally collide after their war of words from last week. I thought Santana and Ortiz in particular looked very strong in this match, following up on their statement that the blood and guts environment is their bread and butter. Another story saw Hager and Wardlow prove to be absolute game changers in this match, as when they entered they just dominated their opponents. And we got a fun segment with MJF getting his just desserts when each member of the Inner Circle took their turns to put a beating on him. It wasn't the prettiest match by any means, but there was some cracking athleticism from Sammy Guevara in this match, who might have been the MVP here. But this was a fantastic hardcore match. There was tons of violence and a real grittiness. There was great use of the cage, wicked chair shots, barbed wire, Floyd the baseball bat, and even a fork. And although the blade jobs weren't very subtle, I thought the blood worked well. Yeah, the first half of this match was very exciting, with entrances every 3 minutes and some great high spots. And I really enjoyed the Captain America Civil War-like standoff between Inner Circle and Pinnacle after Jericho had entered. But for me, the second half of the match had a couple of issues. Whilst the violence was still great, I thought there were a couple of lulls in the action which disrupted the flow of the match. The pace just dropped off significantly, which was probably down to the amount of ad breaks. The production could have been a lot better, as some of the camera work was a little rough at times. And I thought there was a lack of drama as well. I feel like there could have been more submission teasers or surrender teasers, maybe similar to that of an I Quit match. However, at least there were a couple of good submission teasers at the end of the match from Jericho and MJF. Jericho by having the Walls of Jericho on MJF, and MJF with his Salt of the Earth armbar. And this all happened on top of the cage after Tully had unlocked the door. And then the finish saw MJF use the diamond ring to clobber Jericho in the face. He then threatens to push him off the top of the cage, but Sammy Guevara surrenders for the Inner Circle, which means the Pinnacle win the match. And whilst the finish has been divisive amongst fans, I personally liked the finish as it played into the story that the Inner Circle is more of a brotherhood and a family who will always look out for one another. And plus, MJF looked fantastic. This guy is 24 years old. It's just madness. This wasn't a wrestling match, it was a battle, a war, and it was super fun to watch. At the end of the day, it's AEW's first attempt at this kind of match, and I'm sure a lot of the issues will be rectified in the next one. And as for Jericho's landing, I think I can agree with most people that the camera work could have been a lot better, but that is my top 5 matches of the week. And to be honest, besides the top 3 matches, I don't think anything stood out in particular. But let me know what you guys thought in the comment section down below. Let me know what your favourite match of the week was, or if I missed a match off the list. And again everyone, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, give it a share and subscribe. It helps me out immensely. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.